Every relationship is a silent negotiation of power. Most people believe love demands complete transparency from the very beginning. They are taught that honesty means exposing every fear, every dream, every insecurity without restraint. It sounds noble. It sounds romantic. But human psychology has never operated according to ideals alone. Power begins long before words are spoken. It begins in what is left unsaid. Most people assume influence comes from revealing everything about themselves as quickly as possible. They believe complete openness creates instant trust, but human nature has always been more complicated than that. Robert Greene teaches that people are naturally drawn toward what they cannot fully understand. Mystery creates curiosity, and curiosity creates attention. A wise woman understands this silent law. She knows that constantly explaining herself, revealing every emotion, or exposing every thought removes the natural intrigue that makes people value her presence. She allows others to discover her character gradually instead of placing her entire personality on display from the very beginning. Think about the people who leave the strongest impression on you. Rarely are they the loudest or the ones who reveal every detail of their lives within minutes. They speak with intention. They choose their words carefully. They understand that silence can communicate confidence more effectively than endless conversation. This is not about pretending to be someone else or playing games. It is about respecting your own inner world enough to protect it. When every opinion, every plan, every emotion, and every fear is immediately shared, there is little left for others to discover. Familiarity arrives too quickly, and with it, much of the fascination disappears. A wise woman recognizes that trust is something earned through consistent actions over time. She does not confuse attention with genuine understanding. Many people are willing to listen, but far fewer deserve complete access to her thoughts. She observes how a man behaves when life becomes difficult, how he treats people who cannot benefit him, how he handles disappointment, and whether his words match his actions. Only after seeing integrity repeatedly does she begin opening deeper parts of herself. This careful approach is not born from fear. It comes from wisdom. She understands that what is valuable should never be given away carelessly. There is also strength in allowing people to wonder. When every answer is immediately available, curiosity fades. But when someone reveals themselves naturally over time, each conversation becomes another step in discovering who they truly are. This gradual unfolding creates emotional depth because people appreciate what they have invested time in understanding. It is the same reason rare things are often valued more than common ones. Scarcity increases appreciation, and emotional mystery functions in a similar way. This does not mean becoming cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable. A wise woman can be kind, warm, and compassionate while still maintaining healthy boundaries around her private world. She shares with intention instead of impulse. She understands that not every thought requires expression and not every feeling demands explanation. Her confidence comes from knowing that her value is not determined by how much she reveals, but by the strength of her character. In a world where oversharing has become common, the ability to remain thoughtful, composed, and slightly mysterious becomes a quiet form of power that naturally earns respect and lasting admiration. One of the greatest mistakes a person can make is believing that every emotional wound should be revealed the moment a relationship begins. Modern culture often celebrates instant vulnerability, encouraging people to share their deepest fears as proof of honesty and emotional maturity. While openness has an important place in healthy relationships, wisdom lies in understanding that timing matters just as much as truth. Robert Greene often reminds us that power is closely connected to self-control, and nowhere is this more important than in deciding when and to whom you reveal your deepest insecurities. A wise woman understands that trust is built over time, not assumed after a few meaningful conversations. She knows that the most personal parts of her life deserve protection until someone has consistently demonstrated loyalty, respect, and emotional maturity. Every person carries invisible scars. Some fear rejection because they have been abandoned in the past. Others struggle with feelings of inadequacy after years of criticism or disappointment. These wounds are deeply personal, and they shape how people see themselves and the world around them. There is nothing wrong with having insecurities. They are part of being human. The danger begins when those insecurities are handed to someone who has not earned the responsibility of protecting them. Information has power, and once it is shared, it can never truly be taken back. During moments of affection, those secrets may seem safe, but relationships inevitably face conflict, misunderstandings, and emotional tension. In those difficult moments, an immature or manipulative person may use what was once shared in confidence as a weapon. A wise woman pays close attention before revealing the deepest parts of herself. She observes how a man reacts under pressure, whether he keeps his promises, how he speaks about people who are absent, and whether he treats vulnerability with kindness rather than judgment. Character is not proven by charming words during the exciting early stages of attraction. It is revealed through consistent actions over time. Only when trust has been strengthened by experience does she slowly allow someone to see the fears she normally keeps private. This gradual process protects her emotional well-being while allowing genuine intimacy to grow naturally. There is another reason for guarding insecurities. Constantly speaking about personal fears can unintentionally strengthen them. The more people define themselves by their weaknesses, the more those weaknesses begin to control their identity. A wise woman refuses to let fear become the center of her story. She focuses instead on developing confidence through action, discipline, and self-respect. She understands that healing comes not from repeatedly announcing every insecurity, but from quietly becoming stronger each day. When she finally chooses to share her deepest struggles, she does so from a place of strength rather than desperation. Her vulnerability becomes a sign of trust, not a plea for validation, and that difference gives her lasting emotional power and genuine inner confidence. Many people believe that speaking about every goal, every dream, and every plan makes success more likely. They assume that announcing their ambitions creates accountability and confidence. In reality, Robert Greene teaches a very different lesson. Power often grows in silence. A wise woman understands that the strongest moves are usually made away from the spotlight. She does not feel the need to reveal every strategy or every future intention to the people around her. Instead, she allows her actions to speak louder than her promises. She recognizes that the world is full of opinions, expectations, and hidden competition. The moment a personal vision is shared too early, it becomes vulnerable to criticism, jealousy, and unnecessary interference. That is why she protects her ambitions until they have become strong enough to stand on their own. Human nature is unpredictable. Not everyone who smiles at your success secretly wishes for your growth. Some people feel inspired by your dreams, while others quietly feel threatened by them. They may discourage you with subtle comments, question your abilities, or fill your mind with doubts that never existed before. Even well-meaning friends can unintentionally weaken your confidence by projecting their own fears onto your future. A wise woman understands this psychological reality. Rather than spending her energy defending her goals, she invests that energy in achieving them. She knows that completed results silence more critics than endless explanations ever could. There is also a hidden psychological effect that comes from talking too much about future plans. When people repeatedly describe what they intend to accomplish, the brain often experiences a temporary sense of satisfaction, almost as if the work has already been completed. This emotional reward can reduce the urgency to take action. Instead of making steady progress, they become addicted to talking about success rather than earning it. A wise woman avoids this trap. She allows discipline to replace excitement. While others are busy making announcements, she is quietly building skills, improving herself, and taking consistent action. When the time comes, her achievements surprise everyone because they were built in silence rather than advertised in advance. This principle extends beyond career goals or financial ambitions. It also applies to personal relationships. A wise woman does not reveal every emotional strategy or every observation she has made about someone's behavior. She watches carefully before responding. She understands that people often reveal far more through their actions than through their words. By remaining patient, she gathers valuable insight without exposing her own thinking. This allows her to make wiser decisions based on reality instead of emotion. Silence should never be confused with fear. Remaining quiet does not mean lacking confidence. In many cases, it reflects greater self-control than constant talking. A wise woman understands that not every opinion needs to be shared immediately, and not every intention requires public approval. She values privacy because privacy protects focus. While others seek validation through constant updates, she stays committed to her purpose. She knows that real confidence is measured not by how loudly you announce your future, but by your willingness to work for it without applause. When success finally arrives, it carries far more weight because it is supported by action instead of promises, and that quiet discipline becomes one of the strongest forms of personal power. Emotional control is one of the rarest forms of strength because it cannot be seen at first glance, yet it influences every interaction. Many people believe power belongs to the loudest voice in the room or to the person who reacts the fastest. Robert Greene teaches the opposite. The individual who controls their emotions usually controls the situation. A wise woman understands that feelings are natural, but allowing every emotion to dictate her words and actions often gives other people unnecessary influence over her life. She does not suppress her emotions or pretend they do not exist. Instead, she learns to manage them with patience, awareness, and discipline. This ability makes her presence calm, confident, and difficult to manipulate. When someone reacts immediately out of anger, fear, or frustration, they often reveal more than they intend. A single emotional outburst can expose insecurities, create unnecessary conflict, and lead to decisions that are regretted later. People who wish to manipulate others understand this principle well. They know that if they can provoke an emotional reaction, they gain a temporary advantage. A wise woman refuses to hand over that advantage. When faced with criticism, disrespect, or unexpected disappointment, she takes a moment to think before she responds. That brief pause allows reason to replace impulse, turning what could have been a mistake into a display of quiet strength. This does not mean she never experiences pain or disappointment. Like everyone else, she feels hurt, anger, and sadness. The difference is that she refuses to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. She understands that emotions are valuable signals, but they are poor leaders. Instead of reacting instantly, she observes the situation, considers the consequences, and chooses a response that aligns with her values rather than her immediate feelings. This level of self-control often surprises people because it breaks the pattern they expected. Those looking for drama find composure instead, and that composure naturally earns respect. Emotional control also strengthens relationships. In every relationship, disagreements are inevitable. The strongest partnerships are not those without conflict, but those where both people know how to handle conflict without destroying trust. A wise woman does not turn every misunderstanding into a battle. She listens carefully, avoids unnecessary accusations, and speaks with clarity instead of emotion. By remaining composed, she creates space for honest communication rather than emotional chaos. Her calmness encourages maturity in the other person, making productive conversations more likely than heated arguments. Another benefit of emotional discipline is that it protects inner peace. People who react to every opinion, every insult, or every negative comment spend their lives being controlled by external circumstances. A wise woman recognizes that not every challenge deserves her attention. Some words are meant only to provoke. Some people seek conflict because it distracts them from their own problems. She refuses to participate in unnecessary battles. Instead, she protects her energy for the things that truly matter: her goals, her loved ones, and her personal growth. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are in control of yourself, even when life becomes unpredictable. That confidence cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It is built through consistent practice, thoughtful reflection, and the willingness to choose wisdom over impulse. People naturally trust those who remain steady under pressure because emotional stability signals maturity and reliability. A wise woman understands that while beauty may attract attention and words may create temporary impressions, emotional control creates lasting influence. It allows her to move through life with dignity, resilience, and self-respect, making her presence memorable not because she reacted the loudest, but because she remained strongest when everyone else lost control. Silence has always been one of the most underestimated forms of strength. In a world where people feel pressured to explain every decision, defend every action, and constantly seek approval, silence becomes rare. Robert Greene often points out that those who reveal the least about themselves are often the most difficult to control. A wise woman understands this principle deeply. She knows that speaking less does not make her weak or distant. Instead, it makes her words carry greater weight. She does not feel the need to justify every choice or convince everyone to agree with her. Her confidence comes from within, not from constant validation. Many people believe that every misunderstanding must be corrected immediately. They spend endless hours explaining their intentions, defending their character, or trying to change the opinions of those who have already decided what to believe. A wise woman realizes that this is often a waste of energy. She understands that people will see her through the lens of their own experiences, expectations, and emotions. No amount of explanation can change every mind. Instead of exhausting herself with endless arguments, she lets her actions reveal the truth over time. Consistent behavior is far more convincing than endless words. Silence also creates curiosity. When someone constantly speaks, they leave very little for others to discover. But when they choose their words carefully, people naturally become more attentive. They listen more closely because every sentence has purpose. This quiet confidence often commands greater respect than loud opinions ever could. A wise woman knows that mystery is not about hiding her personality. It is about allowing people to discover it naturally instead of presenting everything at once. There is another benefit to silence. It gives a person time to think before reacting. Instead of responding emotionally to criticism or conflict, a wise woman pauses, reflects, and chooses her response wisely. That simple habit protects her peace and strengthens her influence. She understands that not every challenge deserves an immediate answer, and that sometimes the strongest response is calm composure. In the end, people remember those who remain steady under pressure because true confidence is rarely loud. It is quiet, patient, and powerful enough to let actions speak where words are unnecessary. The greatest advantage in any relationship often belongs to the person who observes more than they speak. Robert Greene frequently emphasizes that knowledge is one of the purest forms of power, and knowledge comes not from constantly talking but from carefully watching. A wise woman understands this principle. She does not rush to reveal every opinion, every judgment, or every conclusion. Instead, she listens with patience and pays attention to the small details that most people overlook. While others are busy trying to impress, she is quietly learning. Every conversation, every gesture, and every reaction provides valuable information about a person's true character. Words can be rehearsed, but consistent behavior is far more difficult to fake. Many people reveal themselves without realizing it. They expose their priorities through the way they spend their time, their values through the way they treat others, and their emotional maturity through the way they handle disappointment. A wise woman notices these patterns without announcing her observations. She understands that people often tell the truth through their actions long before they speak it aloud. This ability to observe carefully helps her avoid unnecessary mistakes. Rather than trusting promises alone, she watches for consistency. Trust in her eyes is built through repeated actions, not impressive speeches. Observation also protects emotional well-being. When someone becomes emotionally attached too quickly, they often ignore warning signs because feelings cloud judgment. A wise woman refuses to let excitement replace awareness. She enjoys getting to know someone while remaining attentive to how they behave in different situations. She notices whether they respect boundaries, keep their commitments, remain kind during stressful moments, and treat everyone with dignity, not just those they want to impress. These quiet observations reveal far more than charming words ever could. Another strength of observation is that it encourages wisdom instead of assumption. Many conflicts begin because people react before they fully understand the situation. A wise woman gathers information before reaching conclusions. She asks thoughtful questions, listens carefully, and allows time to reveal the truth. This patient approach prevents unnecessary misunderstandings and helps her make better decisions in both relationships and life. Ultimately, true influence does not come from speaking the most. It comes from understanding the most. A wise woman knows that every conversation is an opportunity to learn something valuable. By remaining curious, attentive, and emotionally balanced, she gains insight that others often miss. Her quiet awareness becomes one of her greatest strengths, allowing her to recognize genuine character, avoid manipulation, and build relationships based on trust, respect, and wisdom rather than impulse or appearances.